Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers! Tiki here,
And SandyClaws back from the dead.
and welcome to everyone's favorite game show involving comparing and contrasting Disney parks. Is it better?
We'll find out.
So yes, Sandy, we have not heard from you at all in a number of years, I think, right? Like, obviously, you and I did the trip together back in 2021, but
Yeah, it's been over a year. And that's mainly because of the army.
of course. I mean, that's a valid excuse.
Yeah, I'm in the army overseas in Italy, so that's kind of like the time zone change and all of that. Just being, and working a lot. But no, I wanted nothing more than come back here, and I almost teared up a little bit, like coming into the chat because it was like, wow, just a little bit. It's like, wow, this brings back some really great memories. So yeah, I'm super happy to be doing this right now.
All right, so you just got back from Disneyland Paris, really like what, like a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. We, 2 weeks ago exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's just jump right into it. This little game that we're going to be playing here, we've done it before. So the twist here, Ezra, and I did this with Jokers as well for his Tokyo trip report.
Right.
Is that this is essentially a tag team match, meaning that every time we do an is it better, we're going to go through, and the attraction in Paris is going to have to beat both the attraction at Walt Disney World as well as Disneyland to earn the point.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and keep track of the points in the private chat. We'll see how that goes. And you know what? I'm going to make a little amendum to the rules here, because when Jokers and I did this, the lands themselves were worth 1 point as the attractions. I'm going to go ahead and make the lands themselves worth 3 points apiece.
That's fair.
Just because I feel like they should have a little bit more value. So with that in mind, let's go to Main Street USA, which I'm actually kind of shocked is just called Main Street USA in Paris. I could have sworn it was called something else.
No, yeah, it's just Main Street USA. They really hammer in the Americana of it too. So,
but is it better?
Well, I have to say this version of Main Street USA is really kind of special because it has two different, or I guess technically 3 different walkways. It's got Liberty Arcade. It's got what's the other one called? I can't remember, but essentially what it has the actual main street itself, and then behind the stores, you'll find kind of almost like hidden walkways that are basically big corridors, completely enclosed, and it gives you passage all the way down to the front of the castle, and it gives you access to any shop you want. So obviously, you go on the right side of the street, it gives you access to every shop on the right side of the street. Left side gives you access to every shop on the left side of the street. But I thought that's really cool. They're really, really well themed. Like the one I mentioned before, Liberty Arcade, which I can only remember because I think I spent a good, probably 20 minutes in there just looking at all the memorabilia and artifacts and things. It's basically themed all around the Statue of Liberty, and they put a lot of work into like incorporating the Statue of Liberty into like the fixtures and the exhibits. It's almost like a little museum, and so it's not just some kind of little walkway. It's like an actual exhibit. It's almost like it's an attraction on Main Street, which I think is really, really cool because I don't think any other Disney park has that. Like, I know. Let's see. I'm gonna look at the other one. Um, I can't remember what it's called. Arcade. Well, while I do that, do you want to talk about something else?
Well, yeah, sure. Just in general, though, is it better, the Main Street?
Uh, I'd say yes. Compared to Disney World, I'd say yes. I think Disneyland Paris is just more interesting.
But Disneyland, that's the question.
Hmm. I'm gonna have to say yes. Well,
Really?
the thing is, I guess it's probably not really fair to take into account the history that Disneyland has with its Main Street and just the history there. Should I take into account that, or just kind of only pay attention to
I
like
mean,
the?
I'm more looking at like the overall attraction lineup, the atmosphere.
In that regard, then yeah,
It is
Disneyland
better.
Paris definitely, yeah, it's definitely better in Paris, yeah. And the other one is called Discovery Arcade. So there's Liberty Arcade and Discovery Arcade, which Discovery Arcade, I can't even remember what they what was in there. I don't think it's anything. I think it's just kind of like, a little more laid back. Liberty Arcade is really, that's the one. Liberty Arcade runs back behind Casey's Corner, basically exits right out behind Casey's Corner. So that's why I found it. But yeah, they're really cool. They're really, really cool. And so I think mainly for that reason, the fact that there's all this extra design and basically a whole separate like attraction right on Main Street, kind of hidden behind Main Street, I'm gonna have to give it 10 thumbs up.
Okay, what about the attractions? Let's go to the railroad.
Yeah, I guess it would be considered an attraction on Main Street. Um, I would right off the top, I just have to say it's not better than Disneyland. It's definitely not better than Disneyland.
Any
I've never ridden the
particular
one in Disney
reason?
World because it's been closed for so long, but um, it's not better than Disneyland, and it's probably not better than Disney World either. The railroad is probably the most disappointing thing about the entire uh, kind of Disneyland experience, or at least one of them. Um, so I guess I'll get into this now. It's just the foliage, Cheeky, the foliage. Too much foliage. Um, for example, they say, okay, we're going to go into the, American frontier now. And they take you past what's supposed to be the American frontier, but it's just weeds. So, and they say, okay, if you look over to your right, you can see Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, or whatever the spiel is. It's supposed to be like some hidden temple in the jungle or something, but it's just, you can't even see it because there's so much greenery, trees and overgrowth and all that. I remember thinking, wow, that's kind of a bummer.
So it's basically like the stretch between Main Street and Adventureland at Disneyland's railroad, but the whole way through.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think there were two animatronics. They weren't even really animatronics. They were just static figures of a moose down by the river.
I'm pretty sure there's a moose figure at Disneyland as well.
Yeah, but they also have like the native tribes and things like that.
Oh yeah, at
Different
Disneyland you have that crazy like train trestle thing. That's like probably the best part of the whole railroad for me at Disneyland.
Right. And in Paris they don't have any of that. And so that was kind of a big letdown.
Okay,
but,
so the score is 3-1. What other attractions are on Main Street? Because I don't really have a grasp on what is actually there.
It's mainly just shops.
Uh-huh.
Which they're very good. The shops are really cool. One thing
Are the
I did.
vehicles there?
There are vehicles. Yeah, there's the horse-drawn carriage, and there's also the little. Um, I'm not sure. I don't think it's not the fire truck. It's the little car. You know, I can't remember what it's called.
The horseless carriage. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get to ride on any of those, but I did see them around every morning. And then, what I was going to say is in the shops here in Disneyland Paris. And I touched on this in one of the blogs I did. You know how like the old Disney stores, they'd have like all the characters and things up on the ceiling and like so Disneyland, the stores on Main Street have that type of kind of atmosphere. It's like out in Disney Village too, which is just outside Disneyland Paris, the park. In the Disney store, they've got like giant hot air balloons and like Cruella de Vil like in her car. It's really cool. It reminded me of those old Disney stores because these figures, a lot of them looked really old, like the late 80s. Like
some of them probably are old Disney store figures.
Yeah, but the really charming thing was that they were all very well kept. Like those figures, like those old Disney store figures that have like cloth clothing and things like that. Those really old ones. Well, they had a bunch of those, except they were in really good condition, and they were all moving and doing their thing. And I thought that was really charming because I think one of the United States parks, it seemed that's the type of thing they would phase out after the first couple decades at least.
Sure,
but
sure.
They still have it in Disneyland Paris, and it's really cool.
Well, let's transition over to Adventureland. Is it better?
Okay. Adventureland.
Is it better?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Adventureland. So I'm just going to give a little kind of brief overview of what Adventureland is in Disneyland Paris.
Okay.
So in Adventureland, you have things like there's Frontierland. So Adventureland has things like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Peril, which, I'm
not even going to count that as is it better at all. That's just an unfair fight.
It's got Indiana Jones and the Temple of Peril. It's got Pirates of the Caribbean. It's got the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse. It's got or is it the Tarzan Treehouse? It's the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse. Because that was pre-Tarzan and they never updated it, thankfully. They've got also the damn it, what's the Skull Rock? They've got a big Skull Rock kind of like island. It's like Tom Sawyer Island, except it's not Tom Sawyer Island. It's Skull Rock. All really cool, very well detailed. And they've got the big pirate ship, which I don't think was open. Some of the stuff when we were there, it wasn't open. Like the tree house wasn't open, and the pirate ship wasn't open at that point, unfortunately. But I would have to say, remind me, Tiki, what's Adventureland like at Disney World?
Disney World, it's kind of scattered, honestly. Let's see.
I remember.
Yeah, you cross the bridge, and then you have a couple. Honestly, it's a couple different side areas. You have the whole area that has the Tiki Room, the Jungle Cruise, and the Magic Carpet. And then you further down, you have Pirates of the Caribbean, kind of in its own little area.
Right, I do remember that.
I'm honestly not really a fan of either of the stateside Adventurelands. They both have really good attractions, but the Disneyland one is just horribly congested. And then the
Tiki, I'm I'm gonna have to say Disneyland Paris, the Adventureland Disneyland Paris is better than um, Disney World because I just looked it up. It's Adventure Isle. It's the little Skull Rock kind of area.
Uh-huh.
It's how you get to the tree house in Skull Rock, and like little mazes out in the pirate caverns and things like that. Um, so
I guess that makes sense that they would
that
have a Tom Sawyer Island type thing because, of course, Tom Sawyer's Island in this park is geographically where Thunder Mountain is.
right, and they've also got something really kind of nice about the Adventureland in Disneyland Paris is the fact that there's so many places just to sit down and just cool off and chill for like a good like 30 minutes.
Yeah, you certainly don't have that at Disneyland. You have a little bit of that some places at Disney World, but again, the places that are kind of off to the side are mostly just weird, sort of like cul-de-sacs.
Right. And Disneyland Paris has ample room to just kind of sit down and relax in the shade.
Mm-hmm.
Even on a busy day, um, I'd say probably 3 out of the 5 days we were there were really kind of, moderately busy. And there were still people just laying in the grass asleep,
Oh, that's cool.
like sound asleep, in front of the castle, just laying down in the grass on the hill, just taking a nap. Um, and there's a lot of that in Adventureland. There's a little like kind of Agrabah scene. It's kind of like Aladdin themed. They've got the little Aladdin walkthrough, which is really cool.
I imagine
And
that's not nearly as elaborate as the Alice one.
Alice, which one? What are you talking about?
The Alice walkthrough.
Where is that?
The maze, Ezra.
Oh, you mean okay. I thought you were comparing it to another park. No, this
No.
isn't a maze. This isn't a maze like Alice. This is all in miniature.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry.
No. I was like the thing that you were probably the most excited about.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Uh-huh.
No, these are all in miniatures, and it basically goes through all the major plot points of the Aladdin film. It's really cool, just kind of walk through and just relax. And I'd say it's very spaced out. There's a fair amount to do. They don't have Jungle Cruise, which is a huge kind of blow. I wish they did have Jungle Cruise when I was going there.
For safety reasons, they were probably in between doing a Jungle Cruise and doing a Tom Sawyer Island.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I don't think there'd be enough space to put Jungle Cruise where the Skull Rock and Pirate Ship are.
Jungle Cruise just takes up a really big footprint, just no matter how you do that attraction.
It does. But I would have to say it's better than Disney World. And is it better than Disneyland? I would have to say, just kind of making a mental image of
Disneyland.
It's not congested like Disneyland is. It's nice and big, kind of everything's spread out. The walkways are really nice and big. You're never like bumping into people or having to play, who's gonna go where first, from running into strollers and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Peril roller coaster. That was kind of a letdown. I'm not gonna lie.
I've never heard good things about it.
I was expecting a little bit more, maybe a dark ride scene or something, but it's not all something to brag about. I don't think. I think what I was picturing in my head was something a little more like what Disneyland has, but maybe that's kind of unfair. Should I talk about Pirates? Want me to go into that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So Pirates I'd say it's probably about as big as the one in Disney World. This one does have a couple scenes that I like that other parks don't, at least to my knowledge, they don't. Um, there's this really cool scene. It's one of the first. I think it's the first scene it takes you into. We were going through like these flooded corridors. I think it's supposed to be like inside the village that Barbossa is raiding,
Oh,
and there's like these two cats on crates, and they're floating around, meowing at each other.
oh,
There's
that's
this
fun.
pirate. Yeah, it's kind of like a cute Mark Davis effect.
Yeah.
And there's this pirate like on this rope swinging above your head, going back and forth,
Oh, wow.
which I thought was really cool. Yeah, it was really neat. In fact, the effect was turned off one day, and he was just kind of hanging in this like almost like a slightly horizontal position. um, and then from there it takes drops into the waterfall, and you go into the the main show scenes.
That's really cool, though, that it starts out like that. I've never heard of a pirate starting out like that.
Yeah, so in this one, they leave all of the like skeleton cavern stuff for the end. So you have like the the captain in his bed, like the captain's quarters. That's like the final scene of the ride.
Uh-huh.
I think it's right across from Jack Sparrow, um, which
That's
is also
really
kind of
different.
like
I didn't know it was that different.
yeah. So as soon as you get in your boat, it takes you into this kind of little. It's not like a marsh, like a swamp. It's kind of like um, it's taking you into this almost. I can remember kind of like this jungly area, and then from there it leads you into the town, and you get a bird's eye view of, which is really cool. Looking back on it, you get a bird's eye view of Captain Barbossa and his ship down below where the other
Oh, are
boats
you
are.
serious? Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, it was really
I
cool.
love stuff like that, dude.
That's the first thing you see. That's the
Oh
first
my god.
big
Oh,
scene you
that's
see.
awesome.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. And then from there you have the cats and things like that.
So it's kind of like
Uh,
it's kind of like how you get the bird's eye view from Calico, right?
uh, yeah, very similar. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
similar
yeah.
to Calico. Um,
I love. Oh god, I wish more attractions were designed like that. I'm such a sucker for that stuff.
yeah, it was really neat because I've never seen that show scene from that angle before, so that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I can't even imagine what that's like.
Um, anyways,
I assume
everything
you're on
else,
the
like
side of the fort looking out over the ship, right?
yeah. In fact, let me pull up some video footage so I can refresh my memory a little bit more. Um, but one thing I don't remember is the smell. Like in Disneyland, how they have the water smells a certain way.
Of course, yeah.
So I remember it smelled almost like gingerbread. Um, that wasn't a huge thing here. Um, of the, let's see, I I don't remember that, and I remember like trying to smell something, but I couldn't really
Uh,
make anything out. Um,
Honestly, even at Disneyland, some days the smell is stronger than other days.
yeah, it's probably just the effects is probably isn't strong.
Like I feel
Um,
like there's got to be some sort of smellulator going on, but I feel like it's also just the smell of the chlorine as well.
right. Um, oh, I remember. So there's a lift, a really cool lift. So it brings you into like this jungle area, and there's a lift, almost like what you have in Splash Mountain.
Uh,
And then at the top of the lift is the Blackbeard and Davy Jones effect. Um, and it's got this really kind of deep, creepy organ music playing. Um, and then it has a little drop, and then that's where the bird's eye view of the whole, you know, town raiding Barbossa ship scene. That's where that is. Uh, well, this footage is not loading for some reason. Anyways, uh, I'd compare it to that of Disney World, though. I mean, it's not as big as the one in Disneyland,
You would
but it
say
also
it's
has some.
better.
What?
You wouldn't say it's better than the one at Disneyland?
No, I'm saying it's better than Disney World, but not better than Disneyland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds better than
Mainly,
Disney World, at least, for sure.
yeah. Um,
Disney World has always kind of felt like a Cliff Notes version, where it's like, all right, like, we'll get like the greatest hits of Pirates of the Caribbean, I guess.
right, but that's basically what it was. I mean, that's how it
Uh-huh.
was introduced into the park, just on a whim. Um,
Okay, so what else in Adventureland? Let's see. Is that about it?
yeah, that's about it. I'm just gonna take a little look at the map here. And Pirates of the Caribbean, Indiana Jones, um, and the rest is basically just the treehouse and Skull Rock and Little Dave
Okay.
Jones' locker area. But that's all walkthrough stuff. But yeah, that's it.
All right. So let's transition to one of the big ones here. Frontierland. I mean, I imagine pretty much everything here is better. Is that a correct assumption?
Yeah, I'd say everything. Everything here is better.
I mean, this
Um,
Frontierland to me is like the crown jewel of Disneyland Paris, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Um, it's just the fact that it has a story that brings the entire land together is
Oh,
really, really cool. Um,
I
and
really
of
wish
course, you have
more
Big Thunder
lands would do
Mountain.
that and not just IP based lands. Like, yeah, technically, Galaxy's Edge has a story, but
Yeah, well, this is before the days of major IP invasions.
uh-huh.
Um,
I
anyways,
those things.
so going on to Big Thunder Mountain for the first time, I remember just being so excited to do that. Just all the things that I've heard. I'd never watched any kind of like ride throughs or anything of it because I wanted to save the experience, would be the first time.
Sure.
But it's really, really cool. The theming is like, just imagine like the queue area and just the whole like queue building and everything. It's like Disney World's times two. Uh, just as far as like theming and
Hmm.
just mass. It's a huge ride. Uh, it's big before we ever even get out onto the island, which the island itself is just massive, and it just weaves you in and out through these tunnels and things like that. You think, okay, like how is there this much track on this little island?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and it's like I'm not sure exactly how it works because it's one second.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, it sounds very interesting as far as just as far as how it works. I mean, it really because I feel like one of the things with Disney in general, with how they design their mountains and everything, is that they usually have like the facade, and then they have like the show building behind the
Right.
facade. Like obviously, Splash works like that. I don't
Yeah, but
necessarily
this is
think Thunder works like that. Like across
no,
the board, though.
no. So it's out on this island, so obviously there can't be any kind of show building, so they've got to fit it all into this island. Um, and I'm not exactly sure how much of the ride is underwater. I think it's just that little area, the tunnel underwater where it brings you out onto the island, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's
Basically,
crazy
just
that they were able to construct that.
yeah, I know. It's basically just it takes you down this tunnel
Uh huh.
that's kind of disguised as a mine shaft, and it just shoots you out onto the island, and
Uh
you're
huh.
just in the dark. You're just in the dark the entire time, and just going just breakneck speed um,
Right.
through the dark. It was so much fun. And then you've got the goat, which in this version of the ride is eating a pair of long underwear. It's like chowing its way down a clothesline. Um, and there's some other animals and things like that. Um, but it's just tons of fun, and I think we did it like three times, I think,
Mhm.
and yeah, it was just unmatched fun. Just the only thing I can compare it to, could be able to compare it to within Disneyland Paris is Hyperspace Mountain, and it definitely does not. Space Mountain, Hyperspace Mountain does not really kind of even really compare to Big Thunder just because of the theming and the just the effects and everything is just top. Like you said, it's the crown jewel. I mean,
Mhm.
it doesn't get any better than that. It just doesn't.
What about Phantom Manor though?
Okay, Phantom Manor. This is its own little bookmark here. Phantom Manor. I feel really kind of shitty saying this, but
Oh no.
I prefer it over Haunted Mansion.
Oh no, you don't have to feel shitty saying that. I feel like that's the common consensus.
Okay, is it all right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, well
I think
I
pretty much
do.
everyone knows it's the best. I mean, look at that loading area.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
No, I
basically
mean, dude,
the
I don't think it's a contest, really. It's because Phantom Manor just
good.
has so much more to it.
And the thing is that you think, okay, well, it was made several decades after the original Haunted Mansion, so of course there's going to be better things about it. But the thing is, it's not even about that. They could have made Phantom Manor way back in the '60s. It's made the exact same way. The
Uh
only
huh.
difference is the only difference is um, the story. Uh, I'd say probably mainly the story just kind of really pulls it all together, and the whole
And the
kind of
scope,
when
like,
it's just the scope. Yeah, it's just it, it's an event. I mean, it's that's what it's the only word I can really describe it as. It's just an event. It's like this big theatrical like performance that you're being taken through, and a big part of that is the John Debney music, which is just oh my gosh, like again, I feel kind of bad saying it outdoes the mansion, the music in the Haunted Mansion in every way possible, but
the
it
music in
does.
the Haunted Mansion is classic, but I mean, it's like kooky, like 1960s surf guitars for the most part.
Right,
Whereas the
right.
music in this is like full blown orchestration, like dramatic, like
Yeah, this is like a 100-piece orchestra. I mean,
uh
it's incredible, and you have it playing. It's in stereo the entire time, so you're just enveloped by this music.
it's like the
It's got
difference
like a
between like a high school band playing the Star Wars theme and then the John Williams Orchestra playing the Star Wars
yeah,
theme.
that's a really good that's a really good comparison. Um, but the music, it's almost like it's just like beautifully haunting. That's the only way I
uh
can really describe it. Just beautifully haunting.
And then of course
Um,
you've got the whole the big thing for me, just outside of like the dark tone and everything, is that whole last ending set piece with the where you go
oh,
into the town.
yeah, Phantom Canyon. That was my favorite
Mhm.
scene of the entire ride. Um, and it's basically bringing you through a dilapidated like echo of a Thunder Mesa, like which you can actually, which is they actually have like the Thunder Mesa area as a part of
That is
Frontierland,
so
but
fucking cool.
this is like the dilapidated like hellish version of that. Um, it's really neat, and you've got like the organist from the Haunted Mansion as the sheriff,
Uh
like in a shootout with this robber um, with his mule and everything, shooting back at him. And you've got the guy at the piano playing the saloon. You've got there's a hand with the hand holding a candelabra, which is reminiscent of the hand kind of caving itself into the wall at Disneyland
Right, right.
in Disney World. You've got the ghost playing cards, which is like a projection effect. It's basically just cards floating and playing against each other. Um,
Oh, that's cool.
and then you've got the whole bit where leading into that scene where you're basically taken underground with all these coffins opening up around you. Skeletons, like basically as interacting animatronic skeletons, and intertwined with that is the whole Grim Green Ghost song with Thurl Ravenscroft and the other singing busts. But yeah, it's probably it's definitely scarier than Haunted Mansion. Right from the very beginning, when it brings you into the foyer, you basically have why am I forgetting this man's name? I feel terrible.
Ravenwood?
Ravenwood. Yeah, but who plays Ravenwood? Why do I have to ask this?
Are you thinking of Tony Baxter? Oh, Vincent Price.
Vincent Price, damn it. Vincent Price. Vincent Price. I feel so bad right now. Vincent Price. God rest his soul, Vincent Price.
I've been there. At least I'm not like Dragon. I'm not going to make you feel bad about it. Love you, Dragon.
Yes, so right from the very beginning, you have Vincent Price's Ravenwood. Basically describing how the house used to be beautiful, and basically what happened. And he brings you into the stretching room. You have all the pictures of the bride, which are from the new refurbishment, the big overhaul they did. Excuse me. Where they replaced all the paintings and added a couple new effects and scenes within the ride itself, and gave, I think, more clarity. I think so. For the longest time, it was a mystery exactly who the Phantom was, or I guess who Ravenswood was to the bride. I guess people thought maybe it was her husband, or maybe it was her father. I think it was confirmed now that it's her father. Does that ring a bell to you?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So he's her father, right?
I'm not sure, actually.
I'm pretty sure it's her father.
Okay.
I
mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm almost 100% sure it's her father. It is. Yeah, just thinking of the painting in the foyer. It's definitely her father. And then he brings you into the stretching room, and it actually shows you all of her different grooms. I think 4 or 5 grooms in the stretching room. And the different ways that they died, which gives you a little more, backstory.
I love that stretching room, by the way. I think that portrait gallery is so much better than the other ones. They're all great. But like, I don't know. I just the whole, just how macabre it all is,
Right. And I can't even think of the top of my head exactly how these characters in the portraits die, but anyways, that's what it depicts, of course, in classic Haunted Mansion style. And then I think it's just great having the kind of knowledge, backstory, and actually exactly who this bride character is and why she's waiting. And every scene we see her, she's waiting or looking for someone. And now we know why. We know who she's looking for. The ghosts of her dead fiancés or her dead grooms. And then it brings into the, of course, the big hallway area where you have the bust looking at you. It's just one of them. It's just the auntie something. I can't remember what her name is, but just auntie, no uncle. And then you have the whole doom buggy loading area, which is basically a big staircase with a bride at the very top looking out the window.
The thing about that is that I knew about the staircase. I did not know that the bride was there. That really caught me off guard.
Yeah, I think, it was the first time I showed you where we did the little live video chat, didn't we?
Yeah.
Is that where you saw it? Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool. It's just kind of
That was like almost kind of
creepy.
shocking to me.
It's creepy to look at because it looks like a real person just
Yeah,
standing
it's
there.
genuinely unsettling.
She's just basically standing there looking into the abyss of this whatever's outside the window, lightning and thunder and rain and everything. It's very unsettling, and it basically just kind of resembles just the gloom and just the hopelessness that this character is going through. It's very, very unnerving. Well, the one thing I noticed as the Doom Buggies enter into the main portion of the ride, into the kind of the hallway of doors of haunted doors, is there's these two gargoyles, which I know are there in Disney World and Disneyland. These two big golden gargoyles, which basically are guarding the entrance into this hallway. Have you ever noticed those?
I can't say I have. No. The only gargoyles I can think of on the Haunted Mansion are the ones that are in the stretch room.
Okay. Well, these are they're more like griffins. And we went on the ride about 5 different times on different days, and I remember just looking at those because I could see them very clearly. And maybe that's why I just couldn't see them in Disney World, just because it's too dark. I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a new, because with Disney World, it's like you pretty much just go, like you start the ride, you go up, and then like because like the thing with Disney World is that they do have some new scenes, like they have the MC Escher staircase.
Okay.
So I think that's probably just for Paris.
Okay, maybe so. Anyways, that was really cool. They're really neat. I remember thinking, wow, I want to get those for my front door. And then it takes you into the the endless hallway scene, and there's a knight that's moving. It's not a cast member, unfortunately. But
Damn it!
An animatronic knight. And this is where the music really picks up. It's in this as you start to really enter into the ride, into the dark, and you see this knight moving, and you see the ride at the very end of the hallway, and she keeps disappearing with candelabra, and then you see the phantom pop up behind her, almost as if he's like preventing her from coming to us or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the music just swells, and it's chilling. It's just the music itself just chills to the bone. It's incredible. And John Didn't, who did the music, he also did the music for Haunted Mansion Holiday. Fun fact.
Makes sense. Yeah.
For the 2002. Yeah, for the 2002 refurb they did, where they want to make it a permanent thing. But other than that, it's mostly the same. It's a different actress playing Leota, and she says it in both English and French. And everything she's referring to, she's basically describing the bride and ravishing bride, vanishing room, stuff like that. And then you enter into the ballroom, which is just, as always, just incredible. And you have all the dinner guests coming through. You have the bride at the top of this other staircase, and again behind her is the phantom cackling away. And I think the bride is the only actual figure in the ballroom amongst all the ghosts. So that's kind of cool.
Makes sense, yeah.
And then from there you enter into this kind of like, not exactly sure what it is. I think it's just like an extension of the graveyard, or I think it is the graveyard. And you have the phantom, which is all he is a skeleton in a really nice kind of Victorian suit, but he's terrifying because he'll look at you, and then the figure, like his eyes, he follows you, and it's not like the bus or anything, like the actual figure like is watching your dune buggy, and then he just like throws his head back and just laughs like
God, that does sound terrifying.
And it's Vincent Price Lab too, so it's horrifying. And if that wasn't scary enough for you, then your Doom buggy turns around, and then there's this snarling hellhound that's like lunging your
Oh
Doom
my
buggy.
god.
I know. It really kind of like genuinely terrified me the first time, because all you hear is this like giant snarl, and then you see this dog with these glowing eyes, and I was like, oh shit.
All right.
Like I thought it was a real. Anyways, then it takes you underground and had the whole Phantom Canyon scene. Anyways,
Okay, so
I told you,
anything
Tiki, it was a bookmark. Tiki. It's its whole own discussion there.
Yeah. Anything else in Frontierland?
No, I think that's
No, I
about
didn't
it.
think so. Also, Monkey confirms the Griffin statues are like the ones at the start of Disneyland's version at the base of the staircase.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't remember those off the top of my head, but I guess they're there. I take his word for it. All right. Anyways, so on to Fantasyland. Now let's start with the castle itself, because I imagine the castle is pretty damn great, right?
The Fancyland Castle in Paris is, yeah, it's one of the. I have to say it's probably my favorite.
It seems
Just
that
because-
way. It seems like it'd be hard to top with the rolling hills and everything.
The thing is, you're looking at the castle from all the way down Main Street, and you look at it, and it looks like a painting. It looks like a piece of art, like it's not an actual thing. It's been painted,
right.
Especially when the sky is like beautiful blue, cloudless, and you have the trees, like the square trees, and the little waterfall. You think, wow, how is that real? It's so just reminiscent of like a classic European fairy tale. And
Seems like something that'd be in like a fairy tale like illustration or something.
exactly, and that's exactly what they were going for, and they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. Yeah, for that reason, it has to be my favorite, because when you walk on a Disney World, you see the castle. It's a beautiful thing. You know, it's really cool. It's towering over you. It looks like a real, castle.
I imagine the height is like somewhere in between Disneyland's and Disney World's.
I think so. But this thing the one in Paris just has a completely different kind of effect on you, where, like I said, it looks like a illustration.
The hills and the waterfalls.
Right, and not to mention the fact that you can go up inside and you have this beautiful Sleeping Beauty stained glass walkthrough, which is just its own thing. It's gorgeous. The stained glass is gorgeous.
And then the Dragon's Lair, right? That's still there?
Yeah. We did that the first day. I think that's the first thing we did in the park was go down to the Dragon's Lair. And
that's actually that seems like a fitting first thing to do at that park.
Right, because I don't think you have this anywhere else. At least not in Disney World or Disneyland.
It definitely doesn't happen anywhere else. No.
And it's
I
just
mean,
so cool
obviously Disneyland still has like the castle walkthrough. I believe Tokyo also has a walkthrough, but nowhere else has a dragon.
Yeah, right. And it really is a literal cavern with this giant dragon in it. It's a full animatronic. He blinks, he snorts, he growls, he breathes fire. I mean, this is completely legitimate. I consider that its own attraction. I think the Disneyland Paris app considers that an attraction as well. So.
Let's transition from there into something that isn't in the States, but by all means, I want to get your opinion on the Labyrinth.
So the Alice Labyrinth is, oh boy, that is.
Need I remind you people that Ezra is just a huge Alice in Wonderland super fan. The first time I met him in person, he was literally wearing a big Mad Hatter hat.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we have any footage of that on the channel, but I definitely have pictures. and stuff that I filmed with my own. And yeah, it's just it was funny. I've forgotten about that.
Uh,
Anyways, so way back, many years ago, probably like in 2009, 2008, I remember discovering the Alice Labyrinth through some, Disney site, and I remember thinking, where is that? It's not in Disneyland. And I thought, okay,
right, right.
maybe it's in Disney World, and uh, so I did more research, and oh, it's in Disneyland Paris. Oh man, I'm never gonna get to go over
I'm
there.
never gonna go there.
So I was like, man, because right off the bat, because I've always been a huge fan of the Alice Dark Ride in Disneyland.
uh,
It's my favorite dark ride. That's my favorite Disney dark ride, period. And right off the top, I could tell that all the figures used in the labyrinth were from the dark ride. I thought, wow, that's so cool. Being able to walk through this labyrinth and actually being able to touch these figures that are part of one of my favorite Disney rides of all time. And they're just static figures. They're not animatronics or anything. They're not all that glorious, but just the fact that they're the same, like not the same figures, but the cast made from the same molds and everything is just really cool.
oh yeah,
Um,
sure.
anyway, so this labyrinth is actually kind of tricky. Um, I think as soon as I walked in, you got the told you would scene. I walked around it like 5 times. I just kept going in a loop. Like genuinely, I was confused. I just entered. I had just entered. I was already confused. Um, and of course, it doesn't help that they have the sign saying "Go this way, go that way, go up, go down." Um, and they have the Cheshire Cat with his eyes spinning around, um, which can also be seen in the Dark Ride right before you go into the Queen of Hearts scene. You see the Cheshire Cat up in the tree with his eyes spinning, and he's pointing into the little door.
Uh,
It's the same one. And then you walk around and you enter the caucus race scene, which is a completely new thing. They don't have this in Disneyland in the Dark Ride, but they've got all the characters. They've got the little starfish. They've got the little birds. They've got Dodo. They've got all the music. They've got the lobsters. And there's water shooting up everywhere. It's really fun to do on a really hot day. And it's a lot of fun. The music is
I
great.
assume they have the
Music in
music
that,
going as well.
yeah, the music in that movie is so iconic, so classic, it's so
Oh yeah.
fun to listen to. And you walk around and enter the little Cheshire Cat walk, and then from there you go into the Queen of Hearts portion of the maze, where you have the big executioner who pops up from behind the hedge, and they're all shouting things in French. You can't understand anything. Um, but I think it was something along the lines of he's threatening to cut off your head or something. And then right around the other corner is the Queen of Hearts pops up, and it's the same figure as the one head of this
It's
with
the
waved
same
arms.
exact
And she's
figure. That's funny.
yeah, she's super angry.
Uh,
Um, and so she pops up and says something and waves her arms, and then she goes back down. Then you walk around, and there's a little painting the roses scene, and you can kind of like take your head through, like your head is one of the cards' heads of the photo op. And they've got the little bridge made of cards. Not a bridge, but it's like the little, the thing you go underneath, the little card kind of, um, in the ride when she asks you want to play croquet,
yeah.
and you go underneath the big card, yeah, that thing, whatever it's called. Um, and then finally, the image you see in this glorious picture here, you enter the big kind of walkway that leads up to the Queen of Hearts castle, and on each side is 3 heart cards with the big spears and everything guarding the castle. And that was like walking up and seeing that, and just seeing all these cards on either side of me was probably one of the highlights of just any time in my life. Like, not even just my day in the park. It's just because growing up,
I can see it though. I know how big of an Alice fan you are. So yeah,
I am, and being able to actually go inside the Queen of Hearts castle, despite the fact it's just basically just Chip and Dale's treehouse.
right.
That's literally all it is. It's just Chip
You
and
go
Dale's
upstairs and then downstairs.
Right. You go upstairs, you go downstairs. But just growing up, watching that movie, just on I had to be at VHS, and I'm surprised I didn't break that VHS. I rewound it so much,
God.
and I would make like the figures out of clay, and I'd make the cards out of actual like playing cards, and I'd stick like tape like heads onto them and stuff. So walking up and seeing the scene was just super cool because you have these big life-size cards, just guarding this really cool castle. Anyways, I'm fanboying again.
It's all good. Okay, so we've been doing this for an hour, so let's try and kind of speed it up.
All right.
Other Fantasyland attractions. Let's see which of the dark rides do they have?
So they've got Pinocchio, they've got Snow White, and they've got Peter Pan. Those are the three dark rides they have. And then they have Mr. Toad. They have Toad Hall, but it's not a ride; it's a restaurant.
Which that's actually really clever, and I wish Disney World would just fucking do that because there's so many Florida people who like legitimately have like trauma over losing Mr. Toad.
I know. They really should. The one in Disney World, that was an actual like Toad Hall like recreation, was it, or was it just the?
I'm pretty sure it was just like the tents. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this is like full blown like new Fantasyland, Disneyland, 1983, Toad Hall. The side, and you walk inside, and it's a restaurant, and it's all themed to Mr. Toad's house and everything. That was really neat. Dumbo is the exact same thing. In fact, you can actually get really good views of Fantasyland from Dumbo. So if you want to get a nice kind of semi-aerial shot of Fantasyland, you can go on Dumbo. It's right in the middle of the park, right above the carousel.
What about Casey Jr.? Did you do that by any chance?
So, went up to Casey Jr., waited about 20 minutes for it. And we were the next ones to get on that little monkey truck or whatever it is, or the draft cart or something. And they said, "Oh, the ride's broken down."
Oh my god, that sucks.
And the thing is that there were so many.
That park is something of like a little roller coaster.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Oh, I wish I would
have.
Or
at least more of a roller coaster than the Disneyland one is.
I can kind of see that. I saw it kind of going kind of fast when I was on the store with the canal boats. But they didn't give us fast passes, nothing. And
that sucks.
There were so many rides there, including the Disneyland Railroad, which is closed down half the time due to the heat. And it wasn't even that hot, Tiki. I'm not sure what's going on with these French people.
No, the heat thing, I mean, I don't want to get into like the minutia of it, but like, yeah, that is one thing you were experiencing where it was like a big head scratcher to me. Like what the fuck? They run these rides in fucking Florida just fine.
Right. And I'm not sure if it's something with like the energy saving, whatever they have, because I know they're really big about that kind of stuff in France.
That could be
maybe up. But yeah, Big Thunder Mountain went down numerous times due to the heat. Casey Jr. went down. The railroad went down. A bunch of things went down due to the heat. And so that was kind of a, wasn't very, convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so Casey Jr. was a no-go for me. Snow White Scary Adventures was so good to go on that again. And of course, it's all in French, but it's the exact same one they had at Disneyland before they refurbed it.
Nice.
And he even had the witch with the hologram apple.
What about Peter Pan?
Peter Pan's great. That was probably my favorite dark ride.
Mm.
In Paris, and Fantasyland at least.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Snow White. I don't know. I guess it's a tie. Peter Pan's it's always just charming, you know. It's the same one they have in Florida.
Oh, okay. So pretty much, yeah. I
same
honestly
scene.
like the one in Florida a lot more than the one at Disneyland, to tell you the truth.
Really? Why is that?
I honestly don't even know why. The one in Florida just feels a lot more classic, even though the one at Disneyland's older.
I do like the TikTok croc they have.
It's probably because I'm just not a fan of the projections in the Disneyland version. I actually think the projections in the Disneyland version kind of take away from like kind of the homemade feel.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. All right. Pinocchio has that.
It's the same as Disneyland. Exact
Just
same.
the exact same thing.
It's a carbon copy. It's just in French.
Okay, got it. Okay, I think that's it for Fantasyland then. Would you say it's better than the Disneyland Fantasyland?
No, I would not say
tough
that.
because Disneyland doesn't have the you don't have the Matterhorn there, which is big.
Right. And we did the teacups also. The teacups are there.
What about Small World?
And Small World was closed. That was.
Oh, really? Oh, bummer.
A complete renovation. In fact,
that sucks.
They had these big decorative kind of.
Oh, so you couldn't even see the facade? Oh, damn.
No. In fact, I pulled one of the little gates back and I peeked inside, and I could see it was just all torn apart. Like the front entrance sign, the sign itself was just completely non-existent.
Oh, that's crazy.
I thought, what are they doing to Small World?
I didn't know
that was probably the biggest bummer.
So much work on that.
That was the biggest bummer of the trip. The fact that Small World was closed, because that's such a classic ride.
And they do have it where it's like outside, right, and not the Disneyland version or the Disney World version where it's in that weird little like inside area.
Right, and that's the other thing. It's outside, and it's got a different design than one at Disneyland. So that's why another reason why we wanted to go on this one, because not only is this the European version of Small World, but it's got a completely different facade which I've never seen before. But the teacups are all kind of enclosed under this big glass, shelter.
Can I just say I hate the teacups in Florida?
The teacups in Florida. I'm trying to remember where are the teacups in Florida? Where are those located?
That's why I hate them, because they're literally right across from the Tomorrowland Speedway, and there's literally no transition.
Oh yeah, I remember now. Okay, yep.
That part of the Magic Kingdom. I have bitched about this before on the podcast. I will bitch about it again. That part of the Magic Kingdom straight up feels like you're in a Six Flags park. Like there's no sense of cohesion or transition at all. It's just like Tomorrowland Speedway on one side, and then like the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and the teacups on the other side. It's so sloppy.
And Winnie the Pooh.
Yes, yeah. It's such a sloppy transition. It's just
you're right.
You would never see something like that at Disneyland.
Yeah, I remember thinking that same exact thing when I went there with you.
When we did the fucking every attraction challenge, and thus were forced to ride the way, which we never would have done if it weren't for that challenge.
We probably did talk about it then as well. But yeah, that's it for Fantasyland Paris.
Okay,
I would say it's not better than Disney World. It is better than Disney World. It's not.
I would hope it's better than Disney World's, because Disney World's is kind of a mess, frankly.
Isn't that kind of sad to say that Disney World has like really, really shitty kind of like it's got the smallest Pirates of the Caribbean. It's got the shittiest Fantasyland. It's got a whole small world which is completely like indoors. Yeah. That's really.
It does have a way better Tomorrowland, though, at least compared to Disneyland.
Yeah, I suppose.
No,
speaking of which,
you don't suppose, Ezra. It's got the People Mover and the Carousel of Progress. It wins.
Oh yeah. Okay, you're right. Well, let's talk about Discoveryland. Let's talk about Discoveryland because that just might be it. So Discoveryland. Discoveryland in Paris is all themed to like Jules Verne. It's got the hyperspace. It's got Hyperspace Mountain. It's got the Nautilus, which unfortunately was not running when we were there. I guess it was just being fixed or under renovation or something. But all 5 days we were there, it wasn't running at all, which was a huge bummer. That's one of those things that I kind of forgot was there anyway. So I was like, I wasn't. It wasn't like Small World where I was expecting it. And you still got to see it because they've got this big lagoon with the Nautilus right in the middle, which is really it's beautiful, especially at night. Discoveryland at night is just beautiful.
Nice.
Overlooking the castle.
I would actually argue that the Tomorrowland at Disneyland at night is probably better than the Disney World one. Just because you've got the sub lagoon that kind of puts it over the edge.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But
Hyperspace Mountain. Hyperspace Mountain is. Oh wow. It's a piece of work, in a good way, because you think okay, you're going into this roller coaster. It's basically just nothing but screens. That's all it is. It's just screens. But the way they do it, Tiki, and I'll touch on this more when we talk about Flight Force. The way they do it is perfect. The way they place the different effects, the way they have you interact with these different effects, it's perfect. It's exactly, spoiler, it's exactly how Flight Force should be.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I've heard it's kind of how the Guardians attraction is as well, the Cosmic Rewind.
Oh really? Okay.
Well, it's like I've heard good things about the way that attraction uses screens.
Oh okay. Well, if it uses screens like the like Hyperspace Mountain, then I'd say it definitely has something going for it.
Mm-hmm.
But now Hyperspace Mountain, that started its life out as a regular Space Mountain, right?
Yes. No, it started its life out actually as Earth to the Moon, which was basically based on that old short film.
Right.
The black and white silent film.
Right. So, do you remember what it was like, or do you know any information of what
it was like? It was themed around Jules Verne, actually.
Right. But what was the ride experience like? Do you know?
I don't especially know. I just know that it was like the whole theme was like themed around the Earth to the Moon, and then you when you got shot up. I think there was I don't know, dude. I don't know much.
Okay. Well, it's definitely kind of strange because you have this giant Jules Verne kind of facade, and inside of Star Wars, it's just two different things that don't make sense at all. But it's fine. It's really cool because it's just I don't know those two elements. The Star Wars music and the ride just elevates everything to a completely new plane. It's imagine Tiki going into Space Mountain, and when the cars take off, you hear that big operatic John Williams score. Dun, dun. I mean, it's just great.
I hate to tell you, Ezra, but there is a version of Hyperspace Mountain at Disneyland that I have been on that is like that.
Oh, really? Okay. So
yes.
Okay, that's.
So I actually know exactly what that is like.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah.
So then this it's the same thing where you're basically in this giant space battle and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then I imagine it's pretty similar then. But yeah, it's great. It's really neat. I think just the attention to detail and just the architecture and.
But the canon, Ezra, that's what I'm wondering about. Is the canon? How is the canon?
the canon is cool. It kind of, I wish, the canon is cool, but it shoots you up and then slows you down immediately. So it's kind of like what it really kind of, it's kind of a buzzkill because it shoots you up and slows you down. What it needs to do is shoot you up and keep an even speed, not slow you down and then begin to speed you up again. It needs to keep some sort of speed. It doesn't need to go fast, it just needs to keep a speed, you know?
That makes sense, yeah. So that component was a little bit underwhelming because that's obviously like the most iconic element of the Disneyland Paris version of Space Mountain.
Right. It was a little underwhelming. It looks really cool when you're down below looking up at it. It looks really, really badass, but it's a little bit underwhelming.
Okay.
And then in the back, there's Mickey's PhilharMagic, which is, I'd say it's a little out of place.
That's in Tomorrowland?
It's in Discoveryland, yeah.
Why?
I no idea.
How?
It's in this theater. It's in this theater shoved way back in the corner of Discoveryland. Like
that sounds
back behind. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the idea was behind there, but we did it a couple times, PhilharMagic, and I gotta say, I loved going into the show and just relaxing in the cool, like being blasted with air. Like, it's really hot outside, so that was really nice. However, I gotta say, it was cool hearing all these Disney songs in French. That was really cool.
Oh, yeah, I could imagine that, yeah.
However, the effects and the animation is definitely outdated. I don't see the one in Disney World because I don't think they have it in Disneyland, do they?
They actually just added it to the Muppet Vision Theater at California Adventure.
Man, I can't see how they wouldn't be updating like that show, like the animation or anything. Like, I know they'd have to redo everything, but I mean, it looks really like some close-ups, like of the characters look really bad. It's like, well, it doesn't really look like Aladdin, you know. But it was cute enough. They had done like an instruments and Little Mermaid and stuff. So, anyways. And there's Star Tours back there, and the Darth Vader being great, which we did. Darth Vader giving us demands in French. Save la vous. Anyways, I think that's about it. They've got that about like your Astro Blasters, but that's it. It's hard to copy Disney Worlds.
Okay.
I think that's about it, though. And the Autopia, which is basically just the same as Disney World. I didn't go on it, but you can see the entire thing. It's the same thing.
And the only other
a ride which actually opens up. A ride which actually only opens up in the Santos Town because guess what? It's too hot to run during the day.
All right, so that transitions us to Walt Disney Studios, the bastard child of the Disney parks. By all intents and purposes, I've always heard of this as the worst Disney park out there.
Yeah, you know, Tiki, I knew it wasn't going to be all that when I went in. I just based on things I had heard. I hadn't really done any research on it until after I visited the park and come back from the trip. But walking in, you go into Studio One, and I was just kind of really, I'm not going to say blown away, but I was very just kind of just impressed. Because what it is basically just like, imagine Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood Studios. That's what it's called, right?
Yes.
Yeah, what's it called? Okay. Yeah. I couldn't exactly remember, but it's basically just that indoors, and you think, okay, well, that's not really anything that special. That sounds kind of lame, but it was nice. It was really cool. They had some like really cool vintage camera equipment. They had like the Herbie the Love Bug up on display. You know, for me being like a lover of filmmaking and cameras and behind the scenes stuff, it was really cool for me. For someone else who doesn't know anything about that kind of stuff, they'd think, okay, well, this is really lame. They painted a whole bunch of stuff on walls and on plywood, and like you go inside the shop. I think it's the Hollywood and Vine, Five and Dime, and it's basically like designed like a sound stage. And so the exterior that's facing out towards like the Studio One like main walkway, that's all painted and done up. But the inside, in the shop area, it's all like on the sound stage, you have the plywood and everything. Like it's not, all that magical. That's basically what it is. And so they look at that and think, wow, that's really sloppy. Why did they do that? Why didn't they put some wallpaper up or something? But I don't know. I think it's cool.
Okay, cool.
Anyways,
and then so as far as I know, you go out of that building and then you're pretty much just like in the main courtyard of the park, which is basically like Ratatouille, Tower of Terror.
So
am I right?
Go into the main courtyard. You go into the main courtyard and have Walt and Mickey partner statue, which is not present in Disneyland for some reason. But they have it.
And it is cool that they do have the partner statue in front of Tower of Terror, and that you can get shots like that. That is cool.
That is cool. And walking out into this little main square area, you think, okay, if they only did the rest of the park like this, like that'd be really cool. But just imagine Hollywood Boulevard and Hollywood Studios, but it's all made of plywood. Imagine that. That's basically what you have. There's a few building facades and things like that, a few little storefronts, but it's mainly just like cheap-looking facade.
Oh man.
At least like for the forced perspective stuff, like down towards the end of the street, you can tell it's just plywood facade that you can just walk around. It's pretty bad. And I remember thinking, wow, this could be so cool. And I'd love to really like spend more time here and explore, but it was just kind of lame.
I mean, you weren't even
think of
Rush's Coaster, which is like one of the main e-tickets in that park.
Right? Yeah, I never do that. No, it was the line was just too long. And. Especially when you think of the fact that Tower of Terror was not there on opening day, and it came in like 5 years after the park opened. You think, wow, I can't imagine what this park was like on opening day. Oh my gosh!
I mean, like at least California Adventure on opening day, it like that had landscaping, it had rock work, it had Soarin', it had California Screamin'. Like, it wasn't great, but there was stuff there.
Right.
Like, it actually attempted to have an atmosphere to it.
Right. Tower of Terror was great. It's basically just a reproduction of the one in California, except in this version, they have the little girl. The little girl's the main character. It's all in French, or mostly in French. And she's basically like trying to help you get out of the Twilight Zone. And so that's pretty neat. They have like
I honestly think that Mission Breakout is my favorite Tower of Terror, though. I like Mission Breakout better than the one in Florida. That might be an unpopular opinion.
I'd probably agree with you if it weren't for the fact that I'm just such a romanticizer of vintage Hollywood in the 1940s and all that. I absolutely love it.
So the one in Florida obviously has the best exterior and the best queue and everything.
Yeah.
And the way that it functions in that park, the way that it's like a weenie towards the back of the park is great.
Right.
I'm
Just
just
the
talking
decorated
about the
portion.
ride experience itself. Like once you get onto the elevator.
Oh. I have to agree with you. I think Mission Breakout is a little bit better.
I think there's just something about them turning Mission Breakout into a space shot as opposed to a traditional drop tower that was just super inspired.
Yeah, I think I agree with you with that. However, I think
I will
Tower
say
of Terror
with the
just still
Tower of Terror,
stands as one of
it
my
is kind
favorite
of
rides.
distracting it is kind of distracting every time I see pictures of the Paris Tower of Terror. That like the exterior is literally just the California Adventure one.
Right.
Like there's absolutely no difference at all.
Right. Whereas you go to the one in Tokyo, and it's completely different.
Oh yeah. Like I think the Tower of Terror should be like the Haunted Mansion, where you really shouldn't be able to like reproduce any of the exteriors. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, now I guess it's not as big of a deal because the one in California obviously doesn't exist anymore, but still, I don't know. There's just something a little bit lazy about that. Like the one in California Adventure was a band-aid for that park. And so this is like a band-aid of a band-aid. You know what I mean? It's just
it's like a band-aid you had to peel off when you took a shower and put it back on after your shower.
Right, exactly. God. All right.
Sorry for that image in your head.
That's all good. So Ratatouille, how was that?
The Ratatouille area was really cool. And speaking of food, Ratatouille with food, there was one evening, this is actually the opening day of Avengers Campus. After we were finished with Avengers Campus, we went and basically there's little food vendors set up all around Walt Disney Studios. And they're like authentic food vendors where they make like traditional like a Brazilian dish or like a Greek dish or an Italian dish, which of course we got. And you go over to the French area, the Ratatouille Plaza area, and there's like 5 or 6 different French vendors. All each had several dishes. Each vendor had several dishes, or like maybe a wine or cheese or something from different regions of France, which is really cool. And I would have loved to have tried all of them. I think what we ended up getting was like a cheese pretzel, a really delicious cheese pretzel. I would have loved to they had a whole bunch of different French wines and things. I would have loved to got some wine, but we were it was like at the end of the day, we just wanted to go home. But
Yeah.
That was really cool. It's really cool they have that type of experience there where you can get some food that's not, a Disneyland corn dog or a Cheshire cat tail or something that's going to make your stomach sick.
I've been having that problem recently with theme park food. Theme park food is like way too fatty for me now in my 30s.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I've been having that problem pretty bad. Theme park food tends to actually give you really big portions as well. Like for example, if you get like an order of loaded fries, for example, right? Like, I like loaded fries, but I don't like a giant fucking platter of loaded fries. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anyways.
So the servings aren't very big. They're pretty, they're decent. So it's like a little appetizer. Each dish is like a little appetizer. But you have like
it
4 or
sounds kind
5
of like
of
what they
them.
do eat. Was there a festival going on?
No.
Because this sounds like what Epcot does for their festivals. It sounds almost exactly
I don't
like
think it was a festival. They looked pretty stationary to me. Anyways, so that was really neat. The Ratatouille ride was just, it was great. It was really cool. That was the best.
The two things I keep hearing about the Ratatouille ride are that the sense of scale is really impressive and that the smells are really wonderful.
It is, and it's one of my favorite Pixar movies. So just going through the ride and kind of reliving all those really cool scenes from a very tiny perspective, like as a rat, so to speak, that was really neat.
Yeah. Cool.
And then, like I said, I didn't do Cars Road Trip which I know you're heartbroken about.
How dare you? But you did do Avengers Campus.
Do you want to talk about Toy Story Land first, or?
I mean, not necessarily. You said there wasn't much to it. It was basically just a
No,
playground.
Yeah, it'd take me about 60 seconds. It's basically just a giant Buzz Lightyear that kind of catches your attention, and everything else is like Slinky Dog Dash has been reduced to like a Slinky Dog that goes around in a circle. Before anyone says anything, I know that the one in Paris came first. I know that, but still, it's more like a little carnival land themed to Toy Story. That's basically all it is.
Yeah, Toy Story Land in Florida, like it might not be perfect, but it is absolutely the Rolls Royce of Toy Story Lands.
Yes, absolutely. Avengers Campus,
especially at night.
Campus.
I give Toy Story Land in Florida so much more credit at night. That area is beautiful at night.
One thing I noticed is that the big they did kind of a similar thing that Alice did. Well, I guess Disney does this a lot when they just repurpose things. They repurposed some of the figures that you see in Florida, like the big T-Rex, like the big Rex that's up on top of the little blocks.
Oh yeah,
they've got that same figure like as a photo op down at ground level, so that's really cool. Anyways, that's not something to brag about. Avengers Campus, there's something to brag about.
Not really.
Not really. Not really.
I honestly think that the opening of Avengers Campus in Paris, like, yes, it is cool that you got to go to the opening day. I'm not trying to poo-poo you for that. But it might be the least celebrated opening of any major Disney attraction ever.
Well, it's a land, so Disneyland ever. Yeah.
So you had to wait in line just to get into the land, right?
Right. We waited 16 minutes to get into the land, and this was.
Oh, that's not bad.
Like, I'd say play like third quarter of the day. So, no, 16 minutes is not bad at all.
I've heard people having to wait like an hour
for Pirates of the Caribbean at Disney World.
Ridiculous.
Honestly, though, it was cool to see on opening day, but man, I couldn't even get into the Spider-Man gift shop without doing like the whole like 90-minute wait time. And doing the ride first. Yeah, they won't let you in the gift shop. You have to go through the ride first. And
wait,
I think I was just
then they can't upcharge you for the fucking like little web guns that they charge like $50 for.
I don't know how that works. But
I just know in the California Adventure version they have that, and it's like it's so stupid. It's like I don't want to go into it. It's like DLC but for attractions, and it's fucking awful. But
it's okay.
Anyways,
so I just wanted to go in there and get a souvenir, like a patch or like a T-shirt or magnet or something like that. And the guy at the door said, "No, you have to do the ride first." I thought, okay, well, no, I'm not going to do the freaking ride because it's the same one as Disneyland and it's 90-minute wait. So see ya.
Yeah. And it's a super underwhelming ride where there's literally a better ride at Legoland of all places with the exact same ride system. No, I'm not even kidding. They have a Ninjago ride at Legoland that uses the exact same gimmick of like waving your arm at the screen, and it is objectively better. I wish I was joking.
Oh, but we've got Tom Holland, so that makes us better. No.
It doesn't even have a Tom Holland animatronic.
Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. Anyways, there was a really cool Hulkbuster that we got to see inside the little cafe. But
you know what bothers me about the Ant-Man cafe though?
What?
You know the pretzel effect?
Yeah.
Yeah, in California, they actually have physical pretzels and not just the screen.
What do you mean, just the screen?
Because in Florida, you see like the screen, right? Like you see the screen of conveyor belt, like the pretzel conveyor belt where they're getting bigger, right?
Oh, okay.
It's all just a screen there, right?
We never went in. I didn't show any interest in that really.
Okay, that's
I mean,
fair.
It looked like it could be good, but not good enough to wait. However long, half hour.
I also know
wait
that the
was.
menu there, they do not do the different portion sizes.
Oh, really? See, I should know this, but I don't.
Which is like that's like that to me is like ridiculous because that's literally the whole gimmick of the restaurant. Like that's what makes the thing worth doing. Like the portion thing is like kind of like what makes that particular thing the thing that I am most interested in all of Avengers Campus.
Okay.
Like I'm way more into that than I'm into the fucking stupid Spider-Man ride.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So let's just end things out. Let's end things out on a bad note, all right? With what I have been hearing is one of the worst attractions that Disney has ever done. Avengers Flight Force.
Oh, gosh. Why I had such high expectations. Maybe that was just foolish of me.
I wrap my head around this thing, man. I really can't. I mean, this is just the epitome of Disney doing things on the cheap. Like, if they would have just kept Rock and Roller Coaster, it would have been a better attraction.
Honestly, I mean, so for anyone who has not watched any footage of this ride, just imagine you're on Rock and Roller Coaster. It starts off really well. The Flight Force starts off really well with that classic Rock and Roller Coaster jolt, like that kind of like that first kind of jump.
Yeah.
And then you go around a little, 360, whatever. And just picture this, folks. There's literally screens that you can see, and you can see the outline of the actual screen.
Oh God!
Almost like a TV. like you're watching a freaking Samsung. And you've got
it's like a Best Buy it's like the Best Buy the display TVs.
Right.
Oh
exactly.
Man.
And you've got just footage of Iron Man and Captain Marvel doing some stuff.
Also, really quick. I love how this is like theoretically like post Endgame, and yet Iron Man is in it.
Yeah, I guess so. I will say there's a really, really badass Iron Man animatronic in the queue, which everyone's talking about that when they talk about the ride. That's the best part of the entire experience. It's the queue. It's the Iron Man animatronic, and it's really cool.
But seriously, though, Iron Man should be dead at this point in the timeline.
And this animatronic's the coolest thing in the entire park, and I should not be saying that.
Oh, in the entire park? Oh dear God!
Yeah, yes, in the entire park. This Iron Man animatronic.
Sure he's cool, but he shouldn't be that cool.
Well, I guess that's just what they've done. That's what they've created.
You sound so defeated.
Disney, I guess Disney has not learned their lesson with making and adding things to this park. They continue to make things as inexpensive as possible.
You know what else they're doing that's a fucking insult?
What?
They're making a Galaxy's Edge, but it's not going to have Rise of the Resistance. It's just going to have the Falcon ride.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, yeah. That to me is just hilarious. I love that.
And it's like, you might as well just put it in Discovery Land. It's like, anyways. So that's basically all Flight Force is. It's just a couple TV screens. And it's like, the one thing I remember was Captain Marvel saying, go left, go left. It's like, there's literally just
No, you all know at Disney. We all know at Disney parks you're supposed to go right. That's the rule. Seriously, that
they really hype it up. They really hype it up, saying, "Oh, thanks for helping us save the day against this unknown, like, freaking, like, I guess robot or some shit. I don't know."
Oh, isn't it Ultron?
No,
is it not Ultron that they're fighting?
I don't think so.
Oh man, this whole thing just sounds like such a mess.
It is. I mean, the best part about it was the Iron Man animatronic, and also that first jolt. You know, the first 10 seconds. Everything else is just downhill. I don't even think we stopped to look at our pictures of our faces, our reactions. You know, the photo you get at the end. I think we just both just walked through and looked at each other like, what the fuck?
All right, well, I will be honest and say I completely forgot to take score this time around on the Is It Better?
Oh, that's okay. I think we can both agree that it's definitely not better than anything. And I don't want to make it
as far as the actual Disneyland goes. It seems to me like across the board, for the most part, it is better.
Probably. However,
but then Studios just comes in and it's like, hold my beer. I'm going to drag down the average quality of this resort single-handedly.
Well, you know, Disneyland has Mission Breakout. And, I mean, you really can't top that for a Marvel, like, thrill ride. At least
Mission
so far.
Breakout is easily the best MCU attraction that there's ever been, as of this point, for sure.
And it's ironic because
Rewind. I've heard good things about Cosmic Rewind. I just shat on Cosmic Rewind when it first opened, just because it didn't have any animatronics. But I've heard good things from people who have actually ridden it.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, it's ironic because Mission Breakout isn't even an original ride; it's just an overlay. That's the best ride.
I mean, technically, yes, but that's what I love so much about Mission Breakout is that it feels like an original ride by all intents and purposes.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like, just with the way that they completely change up the whole ride system, you know, with the way that it launches you all the way up to the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
remember that. What about was it Monsters After Dark or something?
Yes, Monsters After Dark is amazing. I fucking love Monsters After Dark.
I think we did that just once, right? Or was it twice?
Yeah. It's hard. Monsters After Dark is kind of hard to do because the wait time gets pretty insane.
That was really great, though. That was one of the happiest memories I have of that trip. Just doing Monsters After Dark with you, Rob, Garrett. Oh, that was just great.
And then, of course, Ghost Galaxy, where I was like, just
Ghost Galaxy. That was one of the best nights of my life. You're just terrified.
I was. It was genuine fear.
scared of Mr. One Way. And then meanwhile, Garrett and I have our OD popcorn buckets.
All right, we're waxing poetic about nostalgic Disneyland memories. I think this is a good place to cut off.
Right.
Anything else you want to talk about? Any other final thoughts?
I'll definitely be going back to Disneyland Paris. It's definitely somewhere you want to kind of. We spent 5 days there. That was a pretty healthy amount of time. I think I'll wait a year or two and then go back. I definitely want to do Phantom Manor again.
If it weren't for the fact that I literally have to fly across the country just to get on a plane to go to Disneyland Paris.
Right. Well,
Whereas I can
it
hop
might be
on a
worth
plane
it.
and be in Japan in like 8 hours.
Yeah, I see your point. However,
Yeah.
Japan doesn't have Phantom Manor, so
Fair point, but Disneyland Paris doesn't have Tokyo Disney Sea, so
okay.
I mean Tokyo Disney Sea is basically like a whole park of Phantom Manors. All right.
So where are we at, Tiki? There's no score, right?
No, there's no score.
Okay. Yeah, the chat just says Paris 3, USA 1.
I know, right? That was when I had like, okay, Main Street gives them 3 points, and then the train station get the Disneyland Railroad gives US 1 point, and that's when I stopped.
All in all, I'd say that it kind of balances out. There are some things Paris doesn't have, like Jungle Cruise,
Splash Mountain.
Yeah, but there are also things that Paris does have, like Phantom Manor and the entire area of Thunder Mesa, as well as Hyperspace Mountain, where I'd say
Labyrinth too.
The Alice Labyrinth, of course, and of course it's still got Snow White's Scary Adventure, so that's always a plus. Because it seems to be fading out of existence very, very quickly. I think it's still probably the last remaining version of Snow White.
I think so, yeah. World? I'm pretty sure.
Dang. Well, yeah, that's really cool. But, I'll definitely go again. But that's where I'll leave it for now. I loved it. Good trip.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us, Sandy, and we've missed you on the channel. It's been great to talk to you again.
Yeah, I hope I'll be able to come back and do something else sometime soon.
We're always happy to have you. All right, well, that is it for this special installment of Is It Better?
Is it better? See you later.